Hey guys, it's Miss Allison. Today we're going to be learning how to draw with 1-point perspective. What that means is our brain, when we see things, our brain and our eyes work together to decide how far away something is. And so when we see it from our perspective, we see it based on where we are and where that object is. And with 1-point perspective, we are going to be seeing things from one viewpoint, and we will be drawing a line that will go all the way to like a vantage point. And we're going to go over what all that is in just a second. But today we're going to be designing like a magical bedroom. And so you get to, if you have seen the movie Encanto, that is one of my favorite movies that Disney has come out with. I love it, and I've watched it a bunch of times. I'm not typically one to watch movies over and over again like that, but that one's just so cute and I love it. But the bedrooms that they have, if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't seen the movie, they get a gift, and then their bedroom becomes part of what their gift has to do with. So I want you to think about, before we start this, if you could come up with anything in the world, like your parents would say yes to anything, money was not an object, what would your bedroom look like? How magical would it be? And what would you have in it? So that's what I want you to start thinking about as we get ready to draw this. What we're going to do first, I'm going to go over my supplies. It's really simple, and you can use your sketchbook for this. I just have some drawing paper out that I'm using. I've got a pencil, an eraser, and a ruler, and that is it. That's all I'm using right now. Now, when you get done drawing this, it is up to you how you finish it. You can finish it with your pencil. You can use watercolors. You can use crayons. You can use colored pencils. It does not matter what you finish this with. We're just going to be going through the drawing part of it. All right. So the first thing that we need to do is we want to draw a square on our paper. It doesn't matter if it's it doesn't matter what size it is, it just needs to be a decent size square. So I'm just gonna pick, let's see, I'm gonna go with my inches side over here so it's a little bit easier to figure out. And I'm gonna go up to maybe like 8.5, okay? Go to maybe 4, 3.5, all right? I'm gonna do that same thing over here. And we're gonna go from there to there. Okay, and then I'm just going to connect these lines here. All right, I'm not super worried about it being like a regular square. I just want it to be fairly straight. All right, so I have a square. Now this square is going to serve as the back wall of my bedroom. All right, so it's as if you are standing in front of the back wall of your bedroom. All right, so maybe from the door. All right, now what I want to do is I want to find the center of my square, okay? So to do that, we go from corner to corner. So I'm going to use my ruler to line up my corners, and I am very lightly drawing a line on here because we're going to erase this later, and I won't need it necessarily, okay? All right, so I've got that line. Now, this center point right here is going to be my vantage point. So vantage point is just what everything points to in my drawing. When you get started with drawing, you're gonna see how everything's gonna go in that direction. This is what's gonna make it look like everything is in the right place in your bedroom, okay? So I am going to extend my lines, and these will be the floor and ceiling of my bedroom, okay? I'm gonna extend all the way across the page. And that's why I say it doesn't matter what size your line is. You just want to make sure that, or what size your square is, I'm sorry. But you just wanna make sure that you've got everything lined up. All right, so we're gonna go this direction here. Okay, so now I have floor, walls and ceiling, and this is a back wall here. All right, so I can go in and erase everything on this square right here, and I have a blank wall once I get that done. I don't want to erase my vantage point. I do want to leave that on there because that's what's going to help me with drawing all of my furniture and everything that's going to go in here. Okay. All right, so now I need to decide what kind of furniture I want in my bedroom. So think about a bed, a dresser, all those sorts of things. Next week, we're going to be doing a lesson that's based off of Van Gogh, and it's with his sunflowers. It's not his room paintings that he did, but Van Gogh painted his bedroom many, many times. There's lots of paintings of his that show what was going on around him in that time in his life, and the bedroom was one of those things. He has a very famous painting of his bedroom, and so this is kind of based off of that, but it's also, we're going to incorporate the magical side of Encanto and do it with that. All right. So to draw our furniture, we first need to start off with vertical lines. Okay. So if I'm going to do my bed, I want to think about what my bed would look like. So beds are usually pretty like low and squatty. Okay. They're not going to be super high unless you have bunk beds, and you can do that as well if you wanted to. You would just make your line taller, okay? So I want to start out with my bed, and so I'm going to draw my bed over here, and I'm going to come out a little ways from my back wall, okay? And I'm going to draw a line. It doesn't really matter how tall it is. You just want it to not be like super tall, because our bed is not going to be that tall, okay? I'm going to draw another line, that same height roughly, and I'm just kind of eyeballing this. I'm not measuring exactly, but as long as it's close, then we're good, okay? My next thing is I am going to draw a line across here. So basically I'm making a rectangle, okay, to start this off. Now, once you get done, you can go back and add a lot of detail to this, but your shape will be drawn for you and you will be good to go, all right? So remember, we draw light until we get it right, and the reason we do that is because sometimes lines are gonna get covered up and we're gonna need to erase those. Okay, so to get this bed to not just be a rectangle right here, I am going to take my bottom corner. So I want you to watch what I'm doing. I'm going to the bottom corner of my rectangle. I'm putting my pencil there, lining my ruler up with that corner and my vantage point. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw my line all the way to my vantage point there. Okay. Now, is my bed gonna extend all the way to that vantage point? Probably not. It's probably only gonna go to this wall, but this helps me when I get ready to draw the rest of my bed, because now I can draw those lines and it'll be the right proportion. All right, we're gonna do the same thing. So I went up to the next corner and I'm gonna line up that corner and my vantage point. Draw a light line there, okay? And then I've got one more corner over here that I'm gonna do and line up to my vantage point there. Now, if you notice, I did not do this bottom corner. The reason is because I will not be able to see that line. So it's gonna be hidden inside my bed. It's there, but I won't see it. So when I get ready to do the back of my bed, I'm gonna draw a horizontal line, and you can do this by lining your ruler up to the edge of your paper. So this will help you know that it's horizontal, okay? And what I'm doing is I'm going to where these two lines meet. So I've got this wall here and my line going to my vantage point, and where those two meet is where I'm gonna draw my line across, because that's gonna give me that line across the back of my room, okay? And I'm only drawing from this line to this line, okay? So this corner to this corner. I'm creating the top of my bed, all right? Then I'm gonna come straight down from that line and that corner right there to the next line. All right, so now let's erase everything we don't need, and that way you can see this a little bit easier. All right, so I'm gonna erase that line there, and all of these lines that cross through my bed are gonna go away. All right, I'm gonna erase all of these lines to my vantage point, but not erase my vantage point. And then I'm gonna erase that line there. I'm gonna leave the horizontal line across here, but I do want to erase it from the back of my bed. All right, so now you can see how I have a shape of my bed. Cool, right? Okay, we're gonna come back and add some detail to that in just a few minutes. All right, so now I need probably a dresser or something to keep my clothes in. So I'm gonna do that same thing again. We're gonna draw a line. I'm gonna scoot my ruler over just a little bit, and I'm gonna draw a little bit taller line on this one, okay, than I did for my bed. And I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna actually just use the width of my ruler to create my dresser. So what I'm doing now is I left my ruler where my line was, and now I'm gonna come over here, and we're gonna see if we can line those up pretty close. All right, and now I'm gonna go back, and I'm gonna draw my horizontal lines. All right, so I'm lining this up with the edge of my paper, okay? And this is where if I drew one line a little bit longer than the other, it'll kind of show up, but I can fix it by erasing whichever line is longer, or making a line, you know, a little bit longer if I need to. All right, so I'm just going with my shortest line and lining that up. I'm gonna go across just like that, okay? And then I've got a little bit sticking out right there, so I'm gonna go ahead and erase that just so I don't get confused with what's what and where everything needs to go. Okay, so I'm looking at this like I'm looking at the end of my dresser, and I'm gonna draw my lines to go back to my vantage point so that I can get the front and the top of my dresser. All right, so I'm gonna start in this far corner over here. And if it helps to turn your paper, sometimes it does, feel free to do that, okay? So I'm gonna draw my dresser line, that line there. I'm gonna go to the next corner, line those two up, go to my vantage point, and then the last one will be this bottom corner on the front, and I'm gonna line that up with my vantage point there. Okay, so now I have what looks like a box that goes on forever and ever, okay? I'm gonna make the end of it where the end of my dresser will be. And what I'm gonna do for that is I'm gonna use, just like I used the back wall corner for my bed, I'm gonna use the back wall corner for my dresser, all right? So I'm going, this is my back wall line, this is the top of my dresser. So I'm gonna go to where those two lines meet, and we are going to draw a horizontal line from one line to the next. And I'm gonna stop right there, okay? Now I'm gonna take that line and I'm gonna draw a vertical line once again to the next line, okay? So now I have my dresser. I'm gonna go in, erase everything that needs to be erased. Getting all those lines out of there. This is why it's really important to draw lightly, because if I'm drawing really dark, these lines are gonna still show up, and it might get me confused as to what I need and what I don't need and all that kind of stuff. All right, this time I'm gonna erase that line there, and then inside my dresser, I won't see any of these lines, and so I am going to erase everything that's inside my dresser. All right, so now I have my basic shapes, right? So what I want to do now is come back and add some detail. Again, I'm gonna let you finish the back of yours. So this wall back here can be anything you want it to be. So if you want to paint a picture on it, you can do that. If you want to hang something on the wall, you could do that. If you want to make it like a whole other world, feel free to do that too. All right. So before we move on to our bed and our dresser details, I do want to hang a picture on my wall. And so I'm going to come up here and I'm going to draw a vertical line as big as I want my picture to be. Okay. And then I am going to, let's see. Actually, nope, I need to go, I went in the wrong direction on that one, sorry. All right, so sometimes you draw these things and you're like, that doesn't look right. And so you figure out what, you just have to look at it and figure out what you want it to look like or what it's supposed to look like. And you have to go from there, all right? So I am scooting this in just a little bit and I'm gonna draw a vertical line here because I want a picture hanging on my wall over here, all right? So now I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna go ahead and turn my paper. It's a lot easier to do it this way for me. And I'm gonna go from that line to my vantage point, but I'm gonna stop like right there because I know that this is flat on the wall. And so I'm not gonna have to do a ton of extra lines. And so I'm just gonna stop it before I get too far, okay? All right, so there's that. And now I have a picture or a mirror or whatever you want it to be hanging on the wall. All right, so there is my picture hanging up right there. If you wanted to hang something on the other side, you could do that as well. Totally up to you, okay? If you want to hang a light from the ceiling, feel free to do that as well. We're gonna get into like the details of our bed and our dresser, okay? So beds typically, they're not gonna be a box like this. They're gonna have legs probably that go across. And so we're gonna draw those in. And I might even have like a little bit of a lip right there. Okay, so if that's the case, then I'm gonna erase that middle line right there. Can you see my bed starting to come to life? How I'm drawing in these little lines and it's just making it look more and more realistic. All right, so we're gonna draw a post there. And all I'm doing with this is, if you feel more comfortable doing this, take this corner and draw a line to your vantage point. That's all I did on that. I'm just doing the same thing up here that I did for the big piece, okay? So let me show you over here. I'm going from this corner to my vantage point, and this is going to create the look of a post. And go straight across there. And then go straight down there, okay? And then you can do the same thing down here because that's gonna be a 3D post. If you feel more comfortable not doing that, don't feel like you have to, okay? All right, so now I'm gonna do the same thing up here. We're gonna draw our, well, let's see. Yeah, we can come down a little bit to draw our mattress. So I'm just coming down this line a little bit and I'm gonna draw a line going back to there. So that's gonna be the actual bed, okay? And if I wanted to come up a little bit from this, I could do that to make my headboard. And I'm going to erase that line there, okay? And then we're gonna go across horizontally to draw our headboard. All right, so now I have, let's see, I think I can make that work. All right, so now I have this line that goes across here, okay, to make the post on my bed. And then I'm actually going to, I think I'm gonna drop this line down to here. Nah, I don't like the way that looks. So let me show you what I'm doing here. I was trying to make my bed lower over here like I did, but I don't think that's gonna work the way I'm doing that, okay? But let me try this and let's see if this works. All right, so all I'm doing is I've got this lower line right here, and we're gonna just draw a line across like that, okay? And then I would extend that line there, okay? Still don't know that I like the way that looks. I think I'm gonna go back to the way it was. So this is the kind of things that you've just got to kind of play around with, because sometimes lines are gonna do what you think they're gonna do, and then sometimes they're not, all right? And so you just have to kind of play around with what it's gonna do and what it's gonna look like and all of that. If it doesn't look right, go back to what you originally had and see if you can fix it to look like you want it to. All right, so I'm gonna erase that line across there because I think that's messing me up. I think that's what my problem is. All right, so now I do have a line across here to show where my pillows would be. So you could go ahead and kind of draw your pillows around your lines a little bit, okay? Draw your pillows on there. And if you wanted to have like your sheets showing on there, okay? All right, so now that is all done, okay? I can kind of ruffle that line there and ruffle that line there. And that's gonna be my bed, right? You can make that as fun or as simple as you want. It's totally up to you. I could even come under here and draw my my bedspread or comforter, whatever you got on your bed. Draw the end of that. All right, so now my bed is done. I'm gonna go in and work on my dresser, okay? So to draw dresser drawers, all we've got to do is the same thing that we did here, okay? So we just need to decide where we want those drawers to go, all right? So I'm gonna line up with my vantage point up here, and then I'm just going down from this line just a little bit, and I'm gonna draw a line just very lightly because I'm gonna separate these in just a minute. And then I'm gonna come down, I think I'm gonna go down to that center line right there, okay? So there's my first set of drawers. And then I'm gonna do that again. We're gonna separate them just a little bit. So you can see I drew a little bit of a separation there. And then I'm gonna go kind of halfway on that one. All right, and we're gonna do that one more time. So just separating those just a little bit, okay? And now I have 3 drawers, or I can do 6 drawers by separating these out in half. So I just wanna go about halfway on that line there and make a vertical line across there. And now I have 6 drawers in my dresser. It's that simple, all right? So when you get ready to finish decorating all this and making this your magical room, I want you to come up with the biggest things your imagination can come up with, all right? So What picture will you have on the wall? What will be beyond that wall in the back? What will you hang from the ceiling? How will you decorate your bed? Will you put things on your dresser? Will you have a rug in your floor? I want you to come up with all sorts of fun things to decide what's going to be in your room. I want to leave this one open because I want you to come up with your own design. I don't want to like sway you on what you're going to do. Okay, so the biggest things are your bed and your dresser, and then if you want to hang something on the wall, you have got the skills to do those things. And if you want to add other things to your room, feel free to do that. So I hope that you guys enjoy this. If you get frustrated, take a break from it, come back to it. All right. Number one thing to remember, your vantage point is where you go to for all of your objects in your room. Okay. If you do something and it doesn't look right, go back to your original lines. If you add a line or take a line away, go back to your original lines and see where you need to draw that line. That's why I showed you what I did on this bed, and it did not work the first time. It did not work the way that I wanted it to. And so I wanted you to be able to see how I needed to change some things and go back to original lines so that we could make it work. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I can't wait to see what you create.